This is Ants Talk.
Sharron Tancred is a very special type of artist. Sharron gets into people's heads to draw out their story and design a customised artwork that she then tailors to their interior design. She also designs and installs murals that help to prevent dementia patients from wanting to escape. Thanks for talking to me, Sharron. How are you?
Very well. Thank you, Anthony.
That's good. It's very good to talk to you. I'm very fascinated by your work.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Response. It's different.
So tell me, where did your art start for you professionally?
I knew I wanted to be an artist or an art teacher or some sort of a creative, I guess, back in grade 8. And my parents encouraged me, thank goodness. And I went to art school to become an illustrator, and then ended up in graphic design college. And I did graphics and illustration for about 23 years until I got bored. And then a girlfriend of mine who owned a interior design school said, Sharron, why don't you come and do my interior decorating course so that you can get into tailored art? And that's what I did.
The tailored art, how did it actually start happening?
Okay, so the idea behind tailored artworks was to do artworks for the interior designers, for their clients. But the state of the industry is more so that interior designers will buy, a lot of off-the-rack prints from designer boys and whatnot. Yeah. So I had to find other markets, because once having invested in training in interior decorating and colour psychology and feng shui, I was on the path to, I want to do private artworks, and I want to do artworks that inspire people's homes and tell their story. So I started going to lots of networking events. I started entering into business competitions and developing my model. And actually, when the GFC hit, I put on a business coach. So, when a lot of people back then were going, wow, I actually went in the opposite direction and stuck to my dream. Yeah. And it's been a long, hard slog, 13 years so far since 2006, but it's really paying off now. As the saying goes, never, never, never give up.
Yeah. Well, funny enough, I mean, I'm actually an artist also. So I started doing, but I'm self-taught. I've never had any training. I just basically create collage pieces, which I manipulate with acrylics and ink. And funny enough, I've done it all my life, and I just never showed anybody because I never had the confidence. You know what I mean? I just thought, I can't show anybody because, I think they look okay, but I don't know what other people are going to think. And then funny enough, because I work as a makeup artist also, I was doing a friend's makeup, and she came over to my house and she was like, oh, whose artworks are they? And I said, oh, well, they're actually mine. And she was like, oh my God, I didn't know you painted. And she goes, I'm about to do an exhibition and I need some artists. She said, would you put some work in? And I went, sure, why not? And I was so nervous. And I actually ended up putting 2 pieces in, and mine was one of the first ones to sell on the first night.
There you are. So huge confidence boost.
Yeah, it was. It was definitely a huge confidence boost, because then I thought to myself, well, maybe I can actually do this. And I've now sold I think 26 pieces in 2 years.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, so I've done really well. I love it. Art to me is absolutely amazing, because I really do think it shows so much of the inside of a person, not just the, what they're creating. I think it shows a lot of emotion, a lot of...
Yeah, but the trick is, and the inside of whom?
Yeah.
Is it the inside of the artist, or can it be a reflection of the person who, actually owns the artwork?
I think that too, actually. Yeah.
And that's been my journey, because when I used to go around a lot of the galleries and stuff, and yes, there is great work there, no denying that, a lot of it too I didn't like, or I sort of felt, well, yeah, it's just about marketing and shock value, or that makes me feel depressed and sad. I don't want to feel isolated in my home. I don't want to ponder on depression and loneliness. That's the artist coming out, in their work. So a part of my journey and listening to other people has been that they find, art is alienating. That when they go into a gallery, they feel uncomfortable. that the work doesn't relate to them, that it's not relevant.
Mm.
Hence the tagline in a lot of my work, creating beauty and meaning, practicality and purpose. So I look at art and indeed decorating from a completely different perspective to most artists and also interior decorators.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, it's definitely something that I could see when I was, researching you, was there's a lot of thought that goes behind what you do, a hell of a lot of thought.
Yeah.
Tell us about the murals you design for patients with such things as dementia.
Okay, so that came about because of my background in graphic design, and then I had studied colour psychology as well. So having had a corporate background and an understanding of branding and through illustration how to communicate images without words, I was invited to do a mural for aged care with Spiritus here in Brisbane. And that wasn't in dementia at the time, but it did get me into that industry. And the mural was very successful, and it was in a lot of newspapers and whatnot. And then from that, I was invited to do dementia murals for Queensland Health over at Kippering. And they just led on. Now I do so many murals for dementia for all of the main aged care companies in Australia.
Wow.
So the murals for dementia are about getting the client, the resident, to see a space, enjoy the space, reflect on some positive past times, right, cues that I imbued into that space, but to realise that they can't go there. And the artwork is painted over typically the fire door, the exit door in the dementia facility where people are locked in, right? So that they're places of some stress and frustration, even anger, because people are locked in, they don't understand why, and they can't get out. And yet they see family staff, coming and going, but they can't get out. So it's a stress point within these facilities. So by saying to the resident that you can see the beach, you can see, where you used to walk the dog, and people flying kites and all this, but because of the way I've painted it with some, perceived barricade that fits into the architecture and the lighting of the space, they know that they can't go there.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And know that they can't go there. And I can see the results of each mural at about 3/4 of the way through the project.
That is absolutely incredible. I think that's amazing. Well, what a unique approach. I mean, who would have thought that would have worked? Do you know what I mean? And obviously it does.
Yeah, well, it's just working with the architecture and the mouldings of the doors, and then applying some psychology, but also working with the residents' visio perception. So, for instance, if I paint a mural that is too dark, like it's got lots of black in it, they'll perceive a hole. If I paint, for instance, a car that looks like it's driving towards them, or a ball, maybe on a soccer pitch or something that they perceive as being thrown towards them, they could try and actually catch it and maybe have an accident.
Sure.
So I have to work with the way that they perceive colour and light, and there's rules to colours with dementia, so that what I want them to understand is actually what they do understand.
Yeah.
I've got a whole list of, colour in itself. I can't have, say, a pink next to a lilac, right? It's too close. There's not enough juxtaposition. And then each colour, besides contrast, has to have quite a bit of luminosity to it, so it's very, very clear, very crisp to them. So there's there's a lot of rules, but it's all doable.
And then they also have a beautiful mural to look at.
Well, and they're all designed in accordance with the rules of interior design for each facility, so that, because a lot of interiors in these places were done back in the 80s, and they're all being renovated now. And it's often the facility nurses who bring about the change in the space, because they're the ones dealing with all the problems. But, they don't know a lot about all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's up to me to kind of kill two birds with one stone. solve the problem of the stress at the door, and improve the space at the same time.
I find
Easy
it
enough.
absolutely hilarious that your first mural was at a Kippa Ring, because that's actually where my family live.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so I know
Right.
the area very well.
Okay. Yeah, it's not far from me.
No,
Yeah.
oh,
But I've
okay,
had
where are
Regis
you?
Aged Care fly me down to Melbourne, for 2 weeks to paint murals.
Wow.
I've got 2 of them on for Wesley Mission straight after these holidays. And in fact, I get so many of the aged care companies all around Australia ringing me saying, Sharron, can you come down to Tasmania and paint a mural for us? And it's just not doable.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing is setting up a thing called the Mural Shop, which will be a WooCommerce platform on my website. And I'm developing some great templates there where we'll be able to print and deliver murals to fix these very problems.
Oh, that's
So
amazing.
fire exit doors and also dementia residence room doors. I'm attacking both of those problems to help people. Yeah.
That's brilliant. Tell me, who
Thank
is
you.
your personal favourite artist?
Oh, yeah. I like Bugsy simply
Yeah.
because, the street artist, because he stays anonymous and, rejects all the hype around it and plays little tricks on auction houses. And I just find him very humble.
Oh, Banksy.
Bugsy.
Banksy.
Banksy. Yeah, sorry.
I'm a huge fan myself. I love his stuff.
Banksy. Yeah, I think he's really cool.
I watched a show, and it was a special on him, and they were talking about how he originally wanted to do something over when he was in the UK, and I think it was he printed all of these pound notes, and he was going to originally use them for something, and then all of a sudden he didn't use all of the ones he had printed. And I so wanted to write to him and say, do you have any of those spare that I could use?
Probably get you in trouble.
I find him amazing, I really do.
Yeah, he's very cool.
Is there any other older artists that you like?
Yeah, I'm a bit of a Picasso fan for his work, but also because of the time at which he was developing, his techniques and the whole history around all those artists, the bravery that it took and, the vision that it took and the fact that he sort of stuck to his guns for so many years and just made it happen.
It's amazing
he believed in
how
himself.
So back then,
Yeah, against all adversity and odds, made that happen. So, and I'm classically trained. So, all of those artists then I just greatly
I bet. So what's your favourite?
Respect, and I'm always going back there to the classics.
Sorry, what is your favourite medium?
I tend to love a lot of oils. Depends on as an art stylist or a customised artwork specialist, depends on the style that of the home that I'm working on. If it's very classic or plantation, or maybe it's rustic, then I'll use oils and maybe with calcite powder to thicken it up. If it's quite modern or we've got a water theme, which is very common in art commissions, then I love the free flow paint systems by Atelier.
Yeah.
And I have a technique where I'll use salt rock crystals to absorb in the paint and leave these fantastic textures. So yeah, a lot of that depends on the space and on the client. When I'm in appointment with them, I have a style album, and it's up to them in many ways what they like. Just like going into a gallery, what they like. Maybe I'll sort of upcycle a style and introduce something new. Might even be collage. I've done lots of collage over the years.
Wow. I'm actually amazed that you use oils.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I used them when I was much younger. I find them, so...
No, oils with a nice liquid medium, quite beautiful.
Oh, I love these.
And they're fast. If I'm conducting a private adult workshop, they're always in oils. because there's no washing up of all the brushes and everything. It's so easy and quick. You can just sort of paint alla prima and poof, it's done.
Yeah.
Whereas of little kids, I work in private workshop with kids as young as 18 months old to create gallery quality artworks tailored to decor. They'll only be in atelier acrylics.
Right.
So it depends on the job, you know.
See,
when you do what I do, you've got to be really flexible.
Yeah, I bet. I used the wheels a lot when I was a lot younger, and I just found them so. I suppose it was the waiting time for it to dry because I was using. I wasn't knowledgeable about using them, so I started using it just by itself, and then I discovered, you could put linseed oil with it up to thin it out a little bit and stuff like that.
Yeah, but that's going to extend the drying time.
Yeah.
So you can use a medium that speeds it up and adds gloss. But the trick with that is that you need to be quite a confident painter, before the oils kind of set in and go a bit sticky, as it were.
Yeah.
So, if you're nice and confident and very quick, then oils can be fantastic and they can be dry, properly in a couple of days.
These days I'm an acrylic boy.
Tune in each week for Ants Talk to learn about real-life stories, celebrities, and everything in between.
Tailored Artworks moving forward is the mural shop and my new range of built-in art assets, which are because I've expanded what I do in the last year and a half. I've been on a bit of a growth phase, going from customised art to customised artworks and cosmetic home renos.
Right.
And that's been a big journey because I believe that interior design out there, art is kind of, unless it inspires the space as a canvas, it's a bit of an afterthought by the client. And of course, the clients don't always understand how art works. So my mission's been to build art into the new build or the renovation process and let art inspire the outcome. Let art inspire the style and the united colour palette, the balance of the space, become the focal point. And in that way, it creates a unique point of difference for the property that isn't so easy to replicate.
Sure.
Right? So I'm doing that in the form of real art kitchen splashbacks, art into mosaic, movable outdoor murals. I did a couple of courses with Hames Paints to learn how to do their artisan textures. And then I can do like silhouette murals over the top. So that combined with textured art printing, where we're printing onto glass, printing onto tiles, means that we can do work for splashbacks and bathrooms.
So Sharron, tell us how you would use this work in the varying spaces, such as large homes to a small studio flat.
Okay, so if it's a really large home, then it's important to create an equally large focal point because you have to balance out the proportion of that space, right? So what a lot of people do in large spaces is that they'll have lots of little kind of affordable things, which means that we've got lots of clutter on the floor space, but then they take that same principle onto the walls. And when you have lots and lots of little things on your walls and on the floor space, you end up with a cluttered look. Yeah. So it's all about achieving a sense of balance with small things, regular sized things, and then some really giant pieces. And your walls being vertical are kind of the perfect platform for balancing the space because it's visible from all around the room, right?
Sure.
When you put large art on your walls, you're not only creating the focal point, uniting all those colours, but it's an opportunity to unite the lines, the architectural lines of that space and streamline it and draw the eye into it.
Mm.
If I wanted to make a small space seem larger, I can use those same principles, uniting all of the lines, right, creating a focal point, balancing all the shapes, but then I'll use some perspective in the artwork, which draws the eye in, right? Like a landscape where you can see in, and lines that are like this, sort of like a V shape, which actually can make the artwork look bigger. And that then makes the space look bigger, right? A couple of more rules for that with regards to colour is green is a receding colour, so is yellow, so is blue-violet, right? So if you imagine a landscape with blue-violet mountains, you're seeing way into the distance, okay? Or a seascape with a beautiful horizontal line, which is so soothing. You're looking way around into the distance. So for a very narrow space, suddenly it doesn't feel or appear so narrow.
Sure.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it's actually fascinating. It's amazing what you can do with art within a space. And I have seen exactly what you're talking about by creating sort of angles and stuff which will actually make the room look bigger and also smaller, and, you know, also draw your eye into a certain point of the mural itself. I just find it fascinating.
Well, it's just the rules of interior design. It's the rules of art. You know, they've always been there. It's just that people haven't been, using them. And to me, you know, it's very practical to use art to confirm or inspire your style. Say something about who you are, express yourself, not the artist expressing themselves, but, you know, you expressing yourself, and then fixing some issues within your space.
Yeah.
And it's you know, I mean, I'm well practiced at it, obviously, but it's not that hard when you learn all the rules.
I think that with people too, I mean, I've been lucky enough to get several artists within my home, and it's it's something that I love to see every day on my walls. When people visit, you know, they always comment about it and stuff like that. And to be honest, I don't think that people would say the same thing about a $20 print from IKEA.
No.
You know, and I think that that's where a lot of people go wrong. They want to get art for their walls. And I understand that budget is everything, and it comes into, definitely comes into the factor. But I would rather see somebody save, on buying 10 prints from IKEA and getting one amazing piece.
Yeah, that's right.
And it really
that's why,
love you in your home, and you can look at every day and really enjoy its beauty.
Well, that's it. But when it's made for you, when it's relevant to you, it then and I like to use art as a form of visualization as well. If there's favourite holiday places, or if you've got a dream goal, if you're wondering, visualize what it is that you want and attract it into your life every day, law of attraction. Art is a really great way to do it, to have it in your face and to have it with style. And then it becomes an heirloom.
Yeah.
So whatever it is, whatever symbols are painted into the work, it becomes an heirloom piece. So that then raises the value of the work.
Correct.
It's not so much an investment in an artist's stuff, it's an investment in yourself.
Funny enough, I actually went to New York City 15 years ago and became absolutely obsessed with the place. And ever since, and especially when I started doing my artworks more, 2 years ago, I've done several now that are based around America, New York City, etc., etc. Well, I'm off to New York City in May. It worked.
There you are. Yeah.
Exactly.
So maybe one of your collages, make it about New York City, and you'll find that you'll be going there more often.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. So one more question. What are some of the trends you're seeing in the design colour world?
Okay, I just put out a little editorial last week on wabi-sabi, which is a 15th century Japanese philosophy that kind of relates to life as well as art, as well as interior design. And it's all about embracing the broken things, it's about embracing the lifespan of objects and loving the little cracks and creases and imperfections that come along the way as a part of their use, and how to make the best of those. So, when we're talking about environmental issues and upcycling and, renovating, I think embracing wabi-sabi is a really nice philosophy.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like as we get older, embracing all the wrinkles and as signs of happiness and being and feeling loved. That's where they come from.
That's right.
But
I saw something on Facebook about that. That's where they. So I think it's the Chinese would utilize the cracks within porcelain, and they'd actually fill it with
Japanese.
gold.
Yeah.
Japanese. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's absolutely beautiful.
It's featured on Design Milan at the moment.
Is that also where the plates come that are sort of two different plates put together? Do you know?
Two different plates put together.
Yeah, so those really decorative plates that we used to have back in the day that had sort of like, old English sort of backgrounds and stuff. You can now buy. We've actually got a fair few of them, me and my husband. So they're plates that are sort of look like they're from two different sets. So they'll be two different, completely different colours, but then they're put together as one plate. So it's almost like two halves of two different dinner sets.
Okay, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
That would be wabi-sabi. Not wasting.
I love it.
Anything.
It's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, one of the biggest lessons I ever, I guess, self-taught myself at school, like I'm talking grade 11 or so. I was doing this beautiful big batik, and one of my school friends accidentally spilt black ink all over it.
Yeah.
And most of us would be a bit devastated by that, but I just looked at it and realised that, well, I could start again, or I could make use of this and turn it into something even better. That's what I've done. And that was a success. And I've used that principle in all of my work ever since. And that's very much wabi-sabi thinking.
Yeah.
Nothing's ever that perfect. And do you really want it? If it's that perfect, I think that perfect can be kind of that boring.
That's right.
Really. So,
I agree. That's fantastic. Listen, we're going to wrap it up, and I thank you so much, Sharron. I really, really appreciate you talking to us, and I'm sure that it's going to be fascinating for the listeners because, as we all know, we all love art. And before we go, please tell the listeners how they can find you. Okay, so go to www.tailoredartworks.com.au. Tailored Artworks is also on Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram. And my name's Sharron Tancred. And, I do customised artworks and cosmetic home renovations. So thank you all for listening. I've enjoyed this very much. Thank you. All right, people, go and check those sites out. Thanks so much, Sharron. We really, really appreciate your time.
You're welcome. Okay, bye.
Ants Talk. It's like Oprah, but not.